Good morning, everybody. Good morning. It's JPR, and today I have an article here from NintendoEverything.com basically talking about a recent interview that Famitsu had with Mr. Ishihara from the Pokemon Company. Now, as you can see from the title here, it says Pokemon CEO talks Pokemon Shuffle, Pokken Tournament, and Super Mystery Dungeons future. Now, basically in this article, he's just talking about like the different audiences that these games are going to appeal to and all that other good stuff. But the main thing that I really want to point out from this article is that Mr. Ishihara actually talks about Pokemon's role with the NX coming soon. Now, if you've been living under a rock and you don't know what the NX is supposed to be, the NX, according to the rumors, is supposed to be like the bridge between the Nintendo 3DS and the Wii U. And it's supposed to like stream data from one to the other. The details aren't really that clear yet, so we don't really know. But just coming down here to the very bottom, let's see where it is. Right here. There's second bullet point right here. I really want to talk about this because this is some interesting stuff. It's very small, but I figured I'd just talk about it anyway, just because it's news. Some news is better than no news. Anyway, it says that Mr. Ishihara hopes to continue and expand Pokemon, utilizing features such as Pokemon Global Link and Pokemon Bank on future platforms and services such as the NX, with a large emphasis on cloud service, where you can bring them to a game you want to play and move them back to the cloud when done. This is really good for two different reasons. The first one is that he says he wants to continue and expand Pokemon. Now, there are some conspiracy theorists out there who say, oh, Pokemon Z, it's the last letter in the alphabet, it means the end for Pokemon, they're at 3D, they can't do anything else. So people are thinking, oh, Pokemon Z is going to be the very end. And I've already made one video addressing just how silly that is. I mean, they're not going to pull the plug on Pokemon because Pokemon's the cash cow. They're not going to do that. Game Freak would, they'd be done. There's nothing else that they produce that matches Pokemon's success. So, with that being said, this is pretty obvious. They're going to continue Pokemon for future generations. I mean, people have been saying that Pokemon is going to end since Gen 4, because Gen 4 introduced Arceus, and people were like, oh, that's the god Pokemon, we're all done here. And in Gen 5, they're like, oh, look at that, they have a sequel, they're stepping out of the box, they're going out now. And of course Gen 6 for the reasons I just listed. So obviously they're not going to end Pokemon, they're going to continue on with future generations. But that's not really the big deal here. The big deal is the NX and how he drops its name in here, considering that the NX has been largely kept a secret by Nintendo so far. So he mentions Pokemon Global Link and Pokemon Bank, and I think that moving Pokemon Bank to a cloud service on the NX is a really good idea, considering the fact that it's a lot harder to lose an NX than it is to lose a 3DS. Now, that's just assuming that the NX is going to sit around on a table like the Wii U does and it doesn't leave your house. That's assuming what it does. I don't know for sure. But I don't think an NX will be something that you just take with you everywhere if it's a powerful enough console like they say. It's just not going to be possible. So, with that being said, if you lose a 3DS or your cartridge or something, there's a good chance that all the Pokemon that you stored in Pokemon Bank are lost if you don't remember your accounts or anything. But with the Nintendo NX, if you back it up on there, there's a good chance that you probably won't ever lose those Pokemon. And who knows, it could actually act as a separate device that stores your Pokemon, assuming that you filled up all 3,000 spots on your Pokemon Bank on 3DS. Now, I haven't done that yet, but I guarantee somebody out there probably has. Somebody out there is crazy enough to have 3,000 Pokemon, and they probably filled up the 3DS and they're looking for more space. So this is a good move no matter what way you look at it. Pokemon Global Link, I'm not too sure because I don't use that too much. But anyhow, I like the idea of these applications having ties to the NX. Now, with that being said, these applications, Pokemon Global Link and Pokemon Bank, they are basically meant to complement the main series games. They are not for the spin-off games. They're only for X and Y and Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire, and for any future games as well. So, with that being said, if they have ties to the NX, does that mean that a future Pokemon game, presumably Gen 7, will have ties to the NX? I mean, you have to look at the innovation that will come next. Like I already mentioned, Pokemon is already at the 3D stage on the handheld. What else can a handheld do? It can't do virtual reality. It pretty much has to stop at 3D. I mean, each generation has some kind of graphical advancement, and so right now, what do they do next? Like, how are they going to keep on moving forward with the graphical advancements? Now, of course, graphics aren't everything, but it's something that needs to be improved with each coming generation. So, they're never going to make a main series Pokemon game for a console. I mean, it's just not going to happen. Mr. Masuda himself has said it's never going to happen. They're always going to keep Pokemon main series games on the handhelds. But, with that being said, could they potentially use the NX, assuming that it's out by the time Gen 7 is developed, could they use the NX as a device that transfers all of your data from the handheld to the home console? So maybe you can't make any more graphical advancements on a handheld, but if you have a home console, you can use the NX to stream that Pokemon game to the NX and play Pokemon in HD. That to me seems like the next big move. It's the big obvious one. I mean, like I said, there's not really much else they can do at this point besides make that move to HD. Now, of course, they've probably had to think about this already because Gen 7 is probably already in development if we look at past trends. Now, if you look at Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, the development for those games began as soon as Pokemon Black 2 and White 2 were released in Japan. And then for X and Y, their development started before Pokemon Black and White were even released. So with those trends in mind, there's a good chance that they've already developed a good portion of Gen 7 while they continue to develop Pokemon Z or whatever's next. So Pokemon Z probably won't see these innovations because it's just too early and we don't really know if the NX is releasing soon, but for Gen 7, there's a firm possibility that this could happen. With this generation, we've had to wait an abnormally long time to get a title on the handheld console, that being the Wii U. I mean, the Wii U's been out for several years now, and we are just now learning about the first Pokemon game, that being Pokken Tournament, coming to the Wii U next year. And there's a good chance that Pokemon's absence on the Wii U up until this point has actually had an effect on Wii U sales. So the question is, do they want Pokemon linked to the NX as soon as the NX launches? That to me would be a really good marketing plan. Especially considering that Nintendo has a really big focus right now on bringing all of their devices together as one big whole. As I already mentioned, the NX is sort of like the bridge between the 3DS and the Wii U, and then you have Pokemon Go coming out next year, which apparently is going to have some other link to the main series game that you can like catch the Pokemon on your smartphone and then send them to your main series game, which to me just sounds amazing. So could they potentially link smartphones, the 3DS, the NX, and the Wii U all together to create one grand Generation 7? Is that gonna be their next big plan, seeing as how there's no other ways to advance at this point? I know I'm going a little bit deep into this considering that he only briefly mentioned the NX, but still, it's worth considering. So what do you guys think? Do you guys think the Pokemon is going to have a large role on the NX? And do you guys think that a handheld Pokemon game could potentially be streamed through the NX to a home console such as the Wii U? So if you enjoyed, feel free to leave a like down below and leave a comment telling me what you think about all this. And if you're new and you like this news, then feel free to subscribe for more, because why not? And I'll see you guys next time.